In this video, we're going to talk about the importance of a procurement log and how to manage the supply chain. So first and foremost, the reason a procurement log is so important is because it really does stand to reason that if we can get the information and the materials to the job site, the people can build it. So we must manage our materials, we must manage our information so that it gets there at the right time. Now, I'll tell you a story. Most of the time I go around the country, actually sometimes around the world, and I'll go to a project and their first concern is supply chain. Their first concern is late materials. And I say, okay, I believe you. Where's your procurement log? Or where's the procurement listed on the schedule? And the first answer is, oh, we don't do that. We don't have a procurement log and we don't manage it. We trust our trade partners to know when it comes. And I'm like, oh, we are in trouble. Because first, most trade partners don't know when they're scheduled. Second, we don't trust anybody. Third, it was always our job to do in the first place. And fourth, the supply of the project is one of the single most important considerations. So let's go ahead and look at the log if you're going to use a log. And I've chosen to draw this instead of show you an Excel actual template of this. One of these days, our project management systems will manage this like I'm talking about, but I don't know of any that do that today. So first and foremost, the ultimate target is when you want the information to, or the material procurement, the thing that you're ordering to arrive on your actual project site. So that column in your log should be filled out accurately from the takt plan. Now, this is an important consideration. Where is and how much of a buffer do you have ahead of that date? So let's just say that there's a date written in here. I want to know how many days of buffer that you want in here for a material inventory buffer. Here's what I mean. And I'll draw this right here on the bottom part of the screen. Just-in-time deliveries really means that you only bring materials to the place of work just in time. If you have a vendor, right, and you can bring it directly to the place of work just ahead, fine. But a lot of times we have to use what's called a laydown, which I will symbolize with an LD. That laydown will enable us to store the material and then bring it to the site just in time. The key is we don't want to be tripping over material before it's needed. And so what we'll do is we'll make sure our project is broken out by zones and that we order the material just in time, either directly from the vendor or through a laydown yard. If it's through a laydown yard, it will have a material inventory buffer amount and a duration. The duration of that goes right up here in the number of days that you want that amount of material to be there before the arrive on job site, before the needed on job site date. Okay, so this buffer column is probably one of the most overlooked categories, columns, or metrics in the entire industry when it comes to material procurement. Then, as you work backwards, there's the buffer, but there's also the delivery time. There is the lead time, which should include fabrication. Ahead of the lead time, there is the release. There is the approval process through the designers. And then back here, there is the submittal process with the trades. Now, we've always seen that each one of these has key dates and durations by contract that it takes. So this log should auto-populate from the arrival date minus these days, minus the days of the delivery, minus the days of the lead time, all the way back. It should give you a date, if this is in fact the stage that you're at, when that trade partner needs to create those submittals. What is the actual date there? And here's what I want to say as a part of your log. If this date is behind or past the current date, you have a problem. And here's why this is so crucial. If I have a problem, I want to know about it. Let me ask you, if you had stage 1 cancer, would you want to know about it or not? The answer is you want to know about it before it becomes stage 4, before it is inoperable, before it's terminal, right? You want to know as early as possible. So if you have a problem back here and you know you're not tracking, there's at least 15 key things that you can do to expedite the material. And I won't go into too much detail with this, but you can help the trade partner. You can turn and flip the pages with them. You can isolate a smaller portion of work. You can hire additional help. You can talk to the designers. You can do a blue beam session. You can actually dive in and do a real-time review with the designers. You can confirm that it's been released. Source out the right manufacturer from the beginning. You can go fly and visit the shop. You can supplement the actual fabrication. You can make sure it's put in the exact ideal order. I'm not going to bore you with how many methods, but there's at least 15 major things that can be done to expedite this material if it starts to trend late. And we never do it because we're never watching and we don't know what the problem is. So if you do this right and you know when it's required on the job, you know your buffer days and you know your durations for each of these detailed steps, even in more detail than I've shown you here, you can do something about it. I would never have a takt plan. I would never have a schedule without a procurement log and without actually being able to track these steps and to make sure that I know the buffer durations if I'm using a laydown yard, and like we always should in just-in-time delivery fashion, or meaning according to just-in-time deliveries. So I'm asking you to have a procurement log. I'm asking you to fill it out right. I'm asking you to track this every week, and this is my challenge. I want you to be in a meeting once per week with your superintendent and your project manager and the PE reviewing this, and I want you to manage this problem and this process and this supply chain, and I want you to fix any delays before they become problems. And this is a part of our material procurement system, our procurement management system. And if you do it, you'll definitely have the stuff when you need it. And if you don't, it's at your own peril because you will have late materials. The other thing that I will say is that we had material procurement problems way before COVID-19 and way before the current market climate. We've had them like all along. So when you get an NTP, you should have already started coordinating elevators, exterior curtain wall, long lead items, switch gear and electrical gear. If you don't start in pre-construction, you won't have it when you need it. Procurement is always about being out ahead and being proactive. So when you get that next job, the first thing you do is create a schedule. The second thing you do is create your procurement log, and you start getting after it, because remember this, if we can get the materials here, they can build it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.